Hello everybody, this is Hypersonic, and welcome to the Sonic CD Songs Tier List. A few days ago I made a poll on what sort of content you guys want to see in the future, and you guys overwhelmingly voted to see my tier list of the Sonic CD tracks, which I didn't actually expect it to be that much favored. I mean, it's getting like 70% of the vote almost in this poll as of now. It's quite insane. You guys really want to see this even more than the top 10 video. Which I guess makes sense since it's gonna tier list every single track that's available in this list, which not every single track is in this list, unfortunately. What I will do about those remaining tracks is I'll include them in this video at the end. We're gonna see how this can be edited in. But this should be a very interesting video. This is probably gonna be a very long video. I wouldn't be surprised if this video was over an hour long because there's a whole lot I can say about all these tracks. But this is generally how it's gonna work. The bottom tracks, like the bottom of the bottom, they are F tier in my opinion, and they score anywhere from a 0.00 to a 4.99. Now, not a lot of tracks are in here, there really aren't a whole lot in here, but it is here for a reason. E tier is 5.00 out of 10 to like 5.99. D tier 6 out of 10 to 6.99. C tier, okay, 7 out of 10 to 7.99. Which these tracks are going to be the ones that I will say, yeah, they do have some quality for it. They're okay. But then it gets really interesting at the B tier. A lot of the tracks are going to be in the B tier column. A lot of them. It's not an exaggeration. A lot of them are going to be here. And they score at least 8 out of 10 to an 8.99 out of 10. The A tier is amazing. 9 out of 10, at least, to 9.49 out of 10. These are tracks that are in some of the favorites, honestly. They are probably going to be honorable mentions to the S tier, which there are quite some S tier tracks in this game. I believe there's like 10 of them. And these tracks are what I would say would be the best songs of all time, in my opinion. 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. So, that's how it's going to be on the rundown, and we're going to go through these tracks, the order that I went through them in Season 2. And Past Themes are in here, but not the KMS US Past, so I'll edit those in at the end. But let's get started with the first ones that are available, which, unfortunately, title screen for both soundtracks and the Fights and Prototype are not here. In fact, the Fights and Prototype doesn't even exist in this tier list. But let's get to intro Japanese. We'll go Japanese and American. So, intro in the Japanese soundtrack. You can do anything. It's not an amazing track, and not really an amazing track. It doesn't even fit the animation well, but I'd say it's probably like meh right now. Meh, maybe okay. It's kind of hovering between both of them, but I don't really think this is really an amazing track. It's catchy. I'll give it that. I'll give it that this track is catchy at some parts, but it's not really anything amazing, honestly. Which Sonic Boom, even though I don't think the intro version of this track is amazing, I do think it's overall a better fit for the Sonic CD main theme than You Can Do Anything, and it better fits the animation sequence in the intro. But I'm not the biggest fan of this track, but I'm really putting it up here because it fits so well, because as a song I'd probably put it in the C tier. But it fits the animation, so barely B tier maybe. I'll have to see about that in the scores. And next we have Palmtree Panic Pass, which here it is. This is going to be the Japanese version, of course. The KMS US Past Themes are not in this tier list, so we'll just put these over here, which I don't know about Palmtree Panic Past. This track, I think, would probably be around the intro Japanese theme. You Can Do Anything. Maybe if not a bit better. I mean, they kind of are right down here. Let me listen to this track, though, of course, before I put it on the list, and I'll see how it goes, but pretty sure it goes around here for my liking. Yeah, it's gonna go right over here. I will probably say maybe the intro Japanese theme maybe can go maybe in C tier, I'm not too sure. I don't know, we'll put it in there. Sonic Boom, I think we'll put it still in the B tier, but maybe a bit higher. But that's the early standing of these tracks. Again, I can give or take by like half a point of them being a bit off and going to the others here, but it's not going to change the result. But here's the meat and potatoes of the video. the level themes between both soundtracks. Let's get started with Palmtree Panic, which Palmtree Panic present in the Japanese soundtrack. I still like this track a lot. I'm really want to put this in the A tier. I'm not too sure if it gets that high. We'll just put it in there reluctantly. It could probably get B tier like on a bad day though, which is why I want to put it in the B tier. Let me actually listen to it. Yeah, it's still a pretty good track. I'm gonna put this in the B tier reluctantly though. I'm not sure if it's gonna be A tier quite yet. And the US version of Palmtree Panic present, I think it's almost just as good, if not a bit better. I mean, it's really close to both of these tracks. I'll say right now, probably just a bit better. Not too sure about that though. I'll just say it's a tie between them both, maybe. Maybe one leads by a bit more, but they're both pretty good tracks. They describe the level well. And for our first level theme, I'd say the US version probably fits the aspect a bit more, maybe? Recent life events, like whenever I'm going to like a new chapter, IRL, like in real life, I think of Palmtree Panic present US first. I don't know why, but it just really resonates with that first level feeling and like a whole new chapter sort of feeling. So maybe it wins by that. I'm not too sure. Both are good tracks and could theoretically go into the A tier column. They could theoretically be A tier, but I'm not too sure about that right now. I'll show you guys the final scores once they do like a full clean sweep of them all. But I'm gonna put them right there. Well, let's get moving on to the bad future. We're going to go present, bad future, good future. After the past, obviously. So past, present, bad future, good future. And Palmtree Panic, bad future, Japanese soundtrack. There it is. Here is going to be my first hot take in this video. There's going to be many of them for both soundtracks, but I genuinely don't think this track is really all that amazing. It's overall more good than bad. But, like, I just don't think this track really ages well. Because back when I was a kid, this was like my first Sonic CD level theme I ever heard. And I liked it, I liked it a lot back in the day, back when I was a kid, but like, I don't really like this track that much anymore. It's my least favorite bad feature in the entire game. Like, I just don't really get how this one is really all that popular, really. It just sounds really weird. It's not really up there in my alley compared to other Sonics in this game, obviously, but I say this one's like barely D tier, maybe. And as for the American version of Palmtree Panic Bad Future, this track's actually really, really good. Excellent, even. I listened to this track recently, literally like 1 or 2 days ago, and it's still pretty dang good. And it does age better over time than the Japanese version, which despite being an early childhood favorite, it's fallen down. And this is going to be a bit of a trend that you're going to see here, because Palmtree Panic and the Japanese soundtrack, these were childhood favorites, but they have really fallen down over time, and this is just one example of it, alongside the past theme, which I never really cared about this one, but heck, even that one didn't last long, and it wasn't even a early favorite. But this one, Palmtree Panic Bad Future US, pretty good song, honestly. This one has consistently been one of my favorites in the entire game, and I still like it more than I even did when I first heard this track, and I was actually surprised when I heard out that this one was actually a least favorite track of like the entire game, like one of them. This is an amazing composition. It very well fits the dead nature of Palmtree Panic. Not sure if it really fits all the mechanical areas. I think Japanese version would do a bit better on that. But this one is a pretty good fit for Palmtree Panic, and as a song, I like this song a lot. It's one of my favorite songs of all time, even. As for Palmtree Panic Good Future, Japanese version, I used to love this song a lot. Like, I loved this song a lot as a kid. I loved it a lot as a kid, man. Even more than I liked the President back when I was a kid. I liked it a whole lot. Like, it was an easy, like, S tier for me. But, like, as an adult now, I don't think it's really a great track. It's actually pretty annoying. And it's not that original from the present theme. I'm gonna put this behind maybe even the Bad Future. I'm not too sure, but this is my least favorite Good Future in the entire game. It's just... At least the Bad Future was original in its composition, but this one is just literally the present theme, but just a pitch higher. And it's really annoying. The US version, though, this one, I love it a lot. I love this one a lot. Even more than I like the Bad Future. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard, and there's a remix of Palmtree Panic US, which uses the melody of the Good Future, and it's such a great remix. I'm probably going to link it in the description or do something with it to this video. I'll probably link it somewhere in this video, but man, it's a good track. It very well fits Palmtree Panic's good future, especially in the album version. Very futuristic in the album version, which same thing for the bad future, but the album version, that intro is really nice. I should probably extend that track for like 30 minutes, but yeah, it's just amazing. What an amazing composition. And it is structured similarly to the bad future, but this one, it's like, it just has like this one's very bright, cheerful, whereas this one, very not the same. And the same can be said for the Japanese versions, although I don't think they're that structurally similar. These two tracks they're not that structurally similar. The US tracks, so they have the same percussion, basically, but different uses of the bass line for sure, and a different main melody for sure, but these were two very good tracks. I always liked these tracks a lot, and growing up more, I actually like these tracks even a bit more than I did back when I first heard them back in 2017, which for Palmtree Panic, I think it's like 2011, 2012 maybe. Yeah, these tracks have stayed with me for quite some time. Don't like that much. And I will say one thing about the good feature is that when I returned to Sonic CD in 2017, I like this track. I liked this track a whole lot back then, but now it's just kind of insufferable. I don't know. It's just not a fantastic piece of music, but the Japanese soundtrack has fallen in Palmtree Panic, but it's still relatively very great in Collision Chaos. Where is Collision Chaos Past? There it is. Collision Chaos Past, which again, we're assuming it's a Japanese version of the Past theme. And this is actually a pretty good track, compared to Palmtree Panic. I think it's just probably barely in the B-tier category, which again, a lot of B-tier tracks. You're going to see a lot of B-tier tracks, but this is actually a pretty good song. The song is kind of nostalgic, just like Palmtree Panic, again, but I don't think it's like A-tier. It's just in the B-tier. But very good track nonetheless. And then, Collision Chaos Present, like, good lord. Like, this is a good track. Almost S tier, but like, what a fantastic track. And same thing for the US version. They're both two very fantastic tracks. Although I'd favor the Japanese version more since it has more of a casino sort of feel, but my god, the casino tracks in the Sonic franchise are amazing. I don't know why, but they just are. Spring Yard Zone, Casino Night Zone, Casino Street from Sonic 4 Episode 1, that one was also good, too. Collision Chaos Japanese soundtrack and Collision Chaos Present US. There's also that one, was Spring Stadium in the Genesis soundtrack in, Sonic 3D Blast? That one's also pretty good too. I don't know why, but like these casino tracks are so good. Like you also have that one in Sonic Lost World. Double Down, I believe is what it's called. It's Frozen Factory Zone 3. Very good track, but casino tracks are some of the best in the typical Sonic game, and it's not any sort of different in the Japanese soundtrack of Sonic C. But the first theme, the Japanese soundtrack for Collision Chaos, a very, very great track, and the US version is very, very good. The US version, though, barely cracks A tier. Japanese version, though, it's almost S tier, almost, just missing it by a bit, but these are two very good tracks, honestly. But as for not Palmtree Panic, but Collision Chaos Bad Future, this is a very good track. This one may even be better than Palmtree Panic Bad Future US. Not getting how this track is supposedly not fitting. It very well fits the environment of the Bad Future. Still kind of technological, which makes sense since the power is somewhat working in Collision Chaos Bad Future. I don't know how, but it's still working. It sounds really broken. It very well fits that sky in the background. It fits the dead look of the stage. Very good track. Very well composed. And very underrated, honestly. It's one of my favorite tracks in the entire game. And of all time, obviously, since it's in the S tier. As for the US version of Collision Chaos Bad Future, I don't know if it's as better or worse. Maybe a bit better. I'm going to have to give this one a bit of a listen. In fact, I'll do so right now. Okay, yeah, I listened to it again. Still not an amazing track. C tier. Maybe a bit better than You Can Anything. I don't even know, really. But, not really amazing. That's typically what you see from Collision Chaos American soundtrack, but I do like it. It's just not that amazing in the bad future. Collision Chaos Good Future Japanese soundtrack, though, that is one of the best songs of all time. It's probably in my top 10 songs of all time. I'd probably rate this like a 9.9 out of 10, maybe. Maybe at least like 9 point some, I don't know. But typically, this is like one of the best tracks to ever exist. It's amazing. It's an amazing track. What can I say? This is an early favorite from the Japanese soundtrack that still ages well with me to this day. Once I first heard it, I knew this was going to be one of the best tracks ever made. Like, it's so phenomenal. It sounds so futuristic, so happy. Very good for a casino stage, honestly. It's just, like, what can you say? It's like the best good feature from the Japanese soundtrack. Even better than one other track that I'm gonna show later, but this is a phenomenal track. Now, the US version of Collision Chaos Good Future, where is it? It's not so phenomenal, honestly. I'll put this one to D tier, maybe, honestly. Because it can be good on some days, it can be a very good track. I'd probably say it could barely go B tier in that sort of case. But, like, I don't know, this one is growing a bit on me, though. It is. Probably growing a bit on me, but I don't know. I'll listen to this one again and see if that's changed, but I don't think this one's going to change much. Okay, I'll listen to this track again. It's just, some parts are very good, some parts are not very good. I like the guitar, which, last year I said a guitar doesn't really belong that much, and Collision Chaos nonetheless is a good feature, but I actually like this guitar. It's very nice. But this song is kind of unpredictable for my liking. It could be, like, let's say it could probably be like a very decent scoring, like, very good B-tier track, but on some other days it could probably be barely a bit behind the bad future. But I typically see this one, like, in the D tier. Just, I don't know, some parts of this track are just kind of lame. It's kind of unpredictable, but obviously, to me, it's just vastly inferior to the Japanese version, in my opinion. I don't hate this track, by the way. It's just not amazing, but it is a good track overall. I will say that, and I think it's better than the other 3 tracks in the D tier. I will say that, because this track used to be my borderline least favorite track in the American soundtrack, I believe. It was almost there, at least, but it hasn't really moved much from back then. I believe it was, like, barely D tier back then, but it's now, like, barely D tier again, but in a different context. But it's grown on me a little bit. I will say the US soundtrack has grown on me a little bit since like, what year is it? Since 2021, last year. I will say that's grown a bit more on me in some of these tracks that I don't really typically like much, but I still massively prefer the Japanese version of Collision Chaos Good Future. Now let's move to Tidal Tempest, where is the past? There it is. Tidal Tempest Past in the Japanese soundtrack. It is a very good track. Very good track indeed. I don't know if it's better than Collision Chaos Present in the Japanese soundtrack. Yeah, it is probably better than Collision Chaos Present US to my liking, but it's a very phenomenal track for a past theme in the Japanese soundtrack. Very phenomenal for the Japanese soundtrack's past theme. This one was a hit with me back in 2017 when I first heard it, and I still like it a lot. This one may be my favorite Tidal Tempest track overall in the Japanese soundtrack. We'll have to see, but a very good past theme for the Japanese soundtrack over here. Like, what can I say? Like, it's a very catchy song. I like some of the instrument use in the song. It very well fits the level very well. But a very phenomenal track indeed. We're gonna put this in the A tier, though. Here is where we go to the unpopular opinions of this video, because let's get started with Tidal Tempest Present Japanese soundtrack. I don't think it's an amazing track. I used to love this track a lot back when I was a kid. I used to love this track a lot, but I just don't like this track. It's very boring. And the US version, I'd say I just downright dislike the US version. This is the worst Sonic CD track in my opinion. I don't like this track. It's just, both soundtracks dropped the ball here, and this is my least favorite Japanese soundtrack, and this is my least favorite overall track in the American soundtrack and the entire game. So, like, Tidal Tempest Present, both soundtracks, I don't listen to them, I don't think about them. It's just, Tidal Tempest into Present as a level, as a stage I also often forget. It's just forgettable music, forgettable stage time zone. It's just not a whole lot of good I can say about these tracks. If you like them, good for you, but I barely like the Japanese version. I outright dislike the US version. And we're going to move on from that. And let's go to the bad future of Tidal Tempest, if I can even find it. There it is. Tidal Tempest Bad Future Japanese soundtrack. Now, let's talk about the track I very much appreciate a lot. Just as much as the past theme, if not a bit more, a bit less. Not too sure. I'm going to go with a bit better than this one. But Tidal Tempest Bad Future Japanese soundtrack, it's still a very good track. Still a very good track for Tidal Tempest, honestly, in the Japanese soundtrack. I love it a lot, even till this day. Very good track. I think the track is a bit underrated, to be honest. I don't think a lot of people talk about how great this track is. In fact, I don't see anyone talk about how good both First and Tidal Tempest Bad Future are. They just talk about the present themes, which I already told you what I think about the present themes. Bottom tier, basically. But this one of the better tracks in this game. Might have to give this one a little bit of a listen, but I do remember liking this one. I don't listen to this one too often, but I do remember liking this track a lot. Well, I'll get back with you guys in a few minutes. This one's still pretty good. Never mind, this one's still pretty good. A tier. Very good track. The Bad Future American soundtrack, okay. I know what I said was a bit weird about this track, but it's probably going to become a meme, but I do think this track genuinely sounds like sex, but it's a good track. It just sounds a bit like something you would hear in a porno, but this is a pretty good track. I do think this is a very good track. This was an early favorite of the US soundtrack. Not so much anymore. Not sure if it's A tier. Again, I'm going to have to hear this track again to see if it's A tier. I'll come back with you at that. Yep, my convictions were as I expected. This one is actually pretty good. I'd say maybe midway in the B tier, if not a bit higher. But since both Palmtree Panic present tracks really vary, I'm going to put this in here just to be safe. But both First Tidal Tempest Bad Future, very good, and this is actually strangely a close round. Yeah, I just wouldn't think of both verses of this track really being that close, to be honest. I don't really talk about both verses of this track, so this one just always being close. Looking at Season 1 and Season 2 results, it's actually a bit weird. But moving on to the good feature where, speaking of Season 1 Season 2, this one took a drastic turn for the worse. In Season 1, the good feature, Tidal Tempest in the Japanese soundtrack was like very high in the S tier, but now it's like barely like C tier, like 7.99 out of 10 maybe. I listened to it again just like recently, like 2 days ago. I actually really liked the track again, but like I'm not sure that opinion is gonna hold, because sometimes whenever you listen to a track you haven't heard in a while, you're gonna say, "Oh yeah, this track's good," but then you listen to it again the next day and you're like, "Oh man, this one's not so great." And I'll see if that's the case with this track. I'll give this one a test run, but if not, well, then you know, nothing changes. Yeah, you know, this song, I like this one a bit more than I did like a year ago, but not sure it's fantastic. I'll put this one like maybe 8 out of 10, maybe. Could also bring it back to like a C. Like this one just hovers between both of these, but it's just not as much as I used to like it. I don't know. It's like, this track I'm so iffy on. I used to love this one so much, but I'm just kind of iffy. I'm not sure if it's B tier or C tier. I'll put this one in the C tier, because that's typically where I would probably put it. It's just really good percussion. I really like the percussion. I think this is a better remix to the present theme, even though this one is very similar to it, but this one isn't as boring as the present theme. It's more engaging. It's very beautiful in some parts, but just kind of boring in some parts. Still, overall, kind of boring in some parts. Better than the present theme, though. So this is an upgrade, but C tier. I'll just put it the same score I gave it. This one may hover between B tier or C tier. I'm just gonna give it the 7.99 out of 10 just to be sure. But the American version, this one went from being like one of my least favorite tracks to some extent in the entire game to being like one of my favorite songs of all time. Even better than Palmtree Panic Good Future US. It's just phenomenal. I love it. It's a very good guitar. Very fitting too. Like, it fits that you save the future feeling. My gosh, and that guitar solo. The album release of this track is superior than the in-game version, in my opinion, but my gosh, this is a great track. One of the best tracks of all time, in my opinion. I love it a lot. But yeah, that's quite the contrast from Season 1, where this track actually lost by a landslide. Basically, it's similar, if not the same margin, that it lost to the Japanese version of Season 1. But things have changed since then. Moving on to Quartz Quadrant, though. Quartz Quadrant passed the Japanese soundtrack. It's not a fantastic track, honestly. It's very lame. This is probably my least favorite past theme in the entire game. Again, for the Japanese soundtrack, this is definitely the least favorite of mine among the past themes. It's just not memorable. It's just kind of boring. It gives a level of bad impression. Like, it's just... I don't get why some of the past themes in the game are just so boring. I don't get it. But this one is just... It's just disappointing. I don't know what to say about it. And this just may even be my least favorite past theme in the entirety of the game, including the KMS US Past Themes. It's just not a lot of good I can say about Quartz Quadrant Pass in the Japanese soundtrack. Now, the present theme, however, I actually enjoy this track a lot. Not as much as I used to in like 2017. It is falling down a bit. So that's due to the fact that I don't think this track fits the level that well. Still a pretty good melody. I'm gonna say this one's probably in the B tier. Gonna give this one a test run to see if that's true. Yeah, well, I was kind of right in my conviction, but I think this one's even lower. Yeah, this one's probably a bit lower. It's just, it has a good melody, don't get me wrong, but it's just not a good fit. It's not a good fit for the level, honestly. And I'm going to say the same thing for the US version especially, because I don't know what happened here. Quartz Quadrant Present US, I know one person who really likes this track. I can kind of see that, but just, it just doesn't fit that well to me. The Japanese version doesn't either, but I take it over the US version. This version, it's just a guitar song, which I typically do like rock, but this one just isn't great. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad track. It's not in the F tier like this one over here, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not all that. I could give it another test run, but I'm not sure this one's going to really improve much. Yeah, I'm still feeling the same. Not a great track, honestly. I do appreciate the rock, though, but just, I get the pun that it's Quartz Quadrant, so rock, but not a great track, in my opinion. Japanese version, it is better. I don't think it's like top tier as some people make it out to be. People make it be like it's like S tier. It's not. It's not. But moving on, Quartz Quadrant Bad Future. This one I'm gonna have to give this one a test run because the Japanese version of this track is quite unpredictable. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the Japanese version of this track is very unpredictable. But I would probably say it's just right there. I don't know. It's just probably roughly around the middle B tier. I think it is a bit inferior to the present theme, I think. Because the second half of the track could really be like its biggest strength or its biggest weakness, and right now, it's just kind of in the middle right there. If it was like its biggest weakness, probably like barely B tier, which, I don't know, like, I think that's even still too low for that track. For this track, my bad. The US version, however, though, it's not unpredictable. Very good track. I don't even know, man. Like, it's a really good track, honestly. I don't know. I'll put this probably around. Oh, jeez. This one, I just know it's A tier. I know it's A tier, not S tier. That's Palmtree Panic Bad Future US that gets that treatment, but I don't know. I just don't know. It's somewhere in the A tier. At least like a 9.25. But man, it's a very good fit. Very good guitar, very good vocals. I like the snare drums here. It's a very creative remix of the present theme. And speaking of the present theme remix, we're going to talk about that in a second with Quartz Quadrant Good Feature S. But first, we're going to talk about the Japanese version. This is Metallic Manus. What am I doing? There we go, Quartz Quadrant. Now, in Season 2, this was a tie. between both soundtracks. But here's the rundown. I think this one, very good track. And this is an early favorite of mine. I still love this track a lot. But if you guys really want a decision on the tiebreaker, here's the thing. The US version is at least a bit better. At least a bit better. So you could technically say that, well, the US soundtrack technically wins Season 2, but I still consider it 16-16 for Season 2. Until I actually make a video addressing this, which things can change, but Japanese version, very good melody, honestly. It's a very strong fit for its level, honestly. It does a lot of things right from the present game. And I think this track is almost as good as some other people claim it to be, honestly. But I don't listen to this track much. Same thing for the US Good Feature. I don't listen to Quartz Quadrant much, but the Quartz Quadrant Good Feature S track, I typically refer to as my favorite Quartz Quadrant track. Honestly, this one may even be better than Palmtree Panic Bad Feature US. I don't know. This one may even be that high up there, which is very unexpected. I'll see if that's the case, but I'm gonna put this modestly over here. But like, these are two very good tracks. It just really is dependent, though. Really dependent, though. I can see the Japanese Good Feature being maybe a bit behind here, and the US Good Feature still S tier. Maybe barely moves A tier, which I don't think that's gonna happen. I think this one does clinch the S tier. Japanese version just slightly doesn't do it. Slightly doesn't. I don't know. I'm probably gonna put it. I don't know, man. Do I have to test this track? Because like, really good track. I'm gonna see. Okay, yeah, I gave a test run both versus song. US version is still pretty good. I'm not sure if it beats Palmtree Panic Bad Feature. Not entirely 100% sure, but dang, what a fantastic track, honestly. Maybe it can actually do so. I'm not sure. Because I typically do have a bias to good features over bad features. As you can see, most of the favorite tracks here are good features in the S tier. So maybe it's a bit better than Palmtree Panic Bad Feature S, I'm not too sure. I'll just put it right behind it, but man, what a fantastic track. The Japanese version is also pretty good. I think it lags a bit behind now. So, A tier, but two very good tracks. Like, when it comes to bidding, these two tracks are phenomenal at that. Melody, Japanese version is pretty good in the melody. US version is pretty good in the melody, too. But I think right now, the US version would beat it. Just like how it did in Season 1, but Season 2, things are getting way too close in Season 2. And I will admit, the US soundtrack was planned to be the victor. But things got closer. The scores of these tracks were just changing rapidly. It was so weird, honestly. So I just initiated a tie here. But if you look at everything that happened in Season 2, where each track gained and whatnot, the US soundtrack would have been the winner of Season 2. But instead it ended in a tie. But either way, both versus track very good. I think US version beats it, though, by Squeaker. Now, let's move on to my favorite zone in Sonic CD, Wacky Workbench. Let's get started with the past theme, my bad. I'm being very spastic over here. The past theme, Wacky Workbench, in the Japanese soundtrack. Very good track. I don't like this track as much as the people think it is. This is not anywhere close to being the best Wacky Workbench track. That is a very laughable take, in my opinion. No disrespect, by the way. But, this track, though, very unpredictable. Sometimes very good, sometimes not. I'm just gonna... I don't even know what to rate this 1 out of 10. I haven't actually rated this 1 out of 10 yet, but I'm pretty sure it's B tier. We'll see. I'll see where it goes later in the B tier, but it's definitely B tier. I'll say that. Well, let's get to another hot take here. Wacky Workbench Present. The Japanese version of Wacky Workbench Present is one of the best songs I have ever heard in my entire life. While the US version, while it was formerly one of the best tracks I've ever heard in my entire life, I was just gonna put it there in C tier, maybe. Nothing special about the US version of Wacky Workbench Present US. Like, it doesn't fit the level that well. Like, okay, it's happy. It's still not futuristic, so it doesn't fit a good feature. And it doesn't have that sort of happiness that a good feature would radiate, to be honest, if you ask me. It just doesn't have that sort of happiness, so I don't know why people think this one sounds like a good feature. It's not really the best fit for a factory. It does fit that workplace sort of feel, but not as great of a track as I used to like. You're gonna see here that Wacky Workbench, the American soundtrack, it was an early favorite, but now it's suffered. Probably just as much, if not worse, than Palmtree Panic and the Japanese soundtrack. But Japanese version of Wacky Workbench Present, what a fantastic track! It's, oh my god, this track, oh man, I love this track a lot. I don't know what to say about it. It's just a fast-paced melody, the factory sounds. I love industrial music. I don't know why, but I love it. And Wacky Workbench, the Japanese soundtrack, has that one. It has that advantage over the US soundtrack for sure. But there is one track in Wacky Workbench where it's actually the absolute opposite, and I'll show you guys that one. And a lot of you guys already know what that one is, but we'll get to that one. But Wacky Workbench Present Japanese soundtrack, a very underrated track for the Japanese soundtrack. Honestly, I want more appreciation towards this track. Wacky Workbench Bad Feature though, again, not F tier. What the heck? I don't know what's happening with my mouse over here, but no, it's not the worst track in the entire game. That is not even close. Not even close, in my opinion. Oh man, what a fantastic track, man! Fantastic. It's still my favorite Bad Future theme in the entire game. I love it a lot. I love it a lot. It's a fantastic track. Now I'm not sure if this one is better than Tidal Tempest Good Features. I don't think that's the case. I'll put it modestly in like 9.7 out of 10. So maybe right over here, but my gosh, what a fantastic track. The US version, in Season 2, I did say the US version was like my least favorite Bad Future American soundtrack. It still kind of is, maybe. I'm not too sure. Like, this track sounds really good, but just, I don't know. I obviously think this one fits a Bad Feature. Like, this is obviously a Bad Feature track. This does not sound anything close to a Good Feature, so I don't know what people are saying. I don't know what people are thinking of when they're saying this, because it doesn't sound anything close to a Good Feature. This sounds like a Bad Feature. It's futuristic, and it's very sad and depressing. Now, whether or not this is better than the present theme, I have no idea. I think I would revert this one more than the present theme, though. I don't know. Because the present theme, it does sound very good, but doesn't describe the level well. And it's just kind of a bit annoying. And kind of not special, to some extent. I'll have to give this one a test, though. I'll be back. Okay, yeah, I think this one's better than the Bad Future. You know, I'm actually starting to grow back to appreciating this track. I'm not sure if this one... I don't think this is the worst Bad Future American soundtrack. I don't think it is anymore. I've grown a bit more to this one. I'll have to see about this one, but, I don't know. Not entirely too sure if it's the worst US Bad Future, which is an improvement over his performance in Season 2. Because that intro alone was just very great. I'm gonna say it's still, like... I'll probably say it's just roughly around equal with Collision Chaos Pass until something else happens, because I don't know about this one being B tier like that. I'll say this one is better than the Present theme, though. Because the Present theme there's just not much special about it. But, yeah, let's just put it over here, but Wacky Workbench Good Feature. Oh boy, Wacky Workbench Good Feature. Here we go again. Let's go Japanese soundtrack first. I like this track. I like Wacky Workbench Good Feature in a Japanese soundtrack, guys. I do. Despite how much I may criticize this track, I think it's good. Okay? I actually really like some parts of this track. But not a best fit for Wacky Workbench Good Feature. Like, where are the industrial instruments and whatnot, or industrial sounds? You know, they were present in the Bad Future US, they were present in the Japanese Bad Future and the Japanese Present theme, but they're not here in this track or Wacky Workbench Present English. Well, so I'll actually say this one's actually even a bit worse than intro Japanese, but just where is it? This is the worst Wacky Workbench track in my opinion. As for the US version, you know what? I really want to just create a tier for just 10 out of 10. Like, perfect. 10 out of 10. And put this right up here. This is my most favorite song of all time. Wacky Workbench Good Future American soundtrack. My most favorite song of all time. It is the only song to score a 10 out of 10. It does everything right with this stage. It has a continuous energy flow with the industrial sounds in the background. So this one actually has a lot of industrial parts, even more in the Bad Future. It's very happy. I like that part where it just shifts the pitch to a very nice guitar very good remix of some of the present theme. Just so glorious. And yes, if you're wondering, this is a track that changed my mind about the US soundtrack. I used to hate not the Japanese, but I used to hate the American soundtrack before I heard this track. This was the one that was like, oh my god, the US soundtrack's actually really good. It's not what I thought it was, not what people said it was. And I still love this track to this day. It's still my most favorite song of all time. It's been doing this for like 5 years this year. This year makes 5 years since it's been my favorite song of all time. But 10 out of 10. It fits the good feature. It fits Wacky Workbench. It fits the Sonic music, honestly. It's a very good Sonic song fit, honestly. So you want to go with the... It doesn't sound like Sonic, like, nah, dude. This sounds like a Sonic track, dude. Aw, man. It's so happy. So hopeful. So optimistic. It also sounds like, what is it? It's just so, like... It sounds like it's so motivating, like how it makes you like want to work too. Like, good God, this is an amazing track. 10 out of 10. I so want to just put a tier in it just called Wacky Workbench Good Feature, or like SS Perfect. But I'd have to put this in the excellent tier because I didn't think I had putting a 10 out of 10 tier because that's only for one track. But then again, I made an F tier track for this track, so who knows? Maybe I could do it. Not too sure. I'm not gonna add another tier to this. That breaks the rules of how I do tier lists. But man, this is the best song of all time. Best song of all time, dude. Okay? This is the best track I have ever... This is the best track I have ever heard. It is, like, so musically advanced, too, because this is the only Wacky Workbench track I would actually have a problem with remixing. And yeah, I do remix this one and cover this one more than the others, but, like, I still can't nail it. It's just... What did Spencer Nilsson do for this track? Like, my gosh. This is an amazing track. I love this. Oh my. Oh my god. Just not enough words for this track. Just absolutely amazing, dude. Like, it does everything so right for what it's supposed to do. Just, my gosh. Well, let's go to Stardust Speedway Past, which, S tier. I love this track a lot. Stardust Speedway Past, the Japanese soundtrack. This is my favorite past theme in the entire game, and this was the only past theme to ever make it to be my favorite track, because before Wacky Workbench, Good Future US stole my heart, there were tracks that were my favorite Sonic CD. I already talked about Collision Chaos Good Future. This one was one of them. Quartz Quadrant Good Future and Japanese soundtrack was one of them too. Then you had the very early favorites, Palmtree Panic Good Future. Oh yeah, Sonic Boom. I didn't talk about this, but I did hear Sonic Boom way before the other parts of the US soundtrack. In fact, I wasn't even aware that there was a US soundtrack until like a bit later, like 2017 maybe. No, I can't remember, but yeah. Stardust Speedway Past Japanese soundtrack, very good track. In which this is actually the first track that's actually appeared in Mania. In which the Mania version of this track gets a downgrade. I don't know what happened in Sonic Mania, but like every single Sonic CD track that's ever appeared in Mania is just a downgrade. But out of the ones that's appeared in Mania, this is the best of the Sonic Mania remixes, but I don't know if that's really saying a whole lot. I just think Sonic Mania just missed the whole point of what made the original track good. In fact, I don't want to say that for Sonic Mania, but I'd say that about just about any remix. Like, most remixes just miss what makes the original so good. But yeah, this is one of the best tracks of all time I've ever heard in a video game. Let's get to the present theme of Stardust Speedway in the Japanese soundtrack, which I don't think this is an amazing song, honestly. I'd probably say this is C tier. I don't see what's so amazing about this track. It's really boring. It's like Tidal Tempest Present, but not as bad, which I'm going to say the same thing for the US version. Stardust Speedway Present US, not a fantastic track either. I guess you can say this is like my most favorite of the least favorites. This is the one where the least favorites begin. 7.5 out of 10, and anything that's 7.5 or lower is least favorites column. It's just not a fantastic track for both versions of Stardust Speedway. US version, it's just kind of weird. Although I can see how I can remix this to being a very fantastic track. And if I get my hands onto knowing how to remix this track, like, actually recording down the melody and like, oh man, this would be a fantastic remix. Good Gosh, I know what to do with this track. Oh, oh man. Japanese version, though. I'm not sure if I can remix the Japanese version that well, but I do think it's a better track, slightly. This one's typically close, though, but the Japanese soundtrack's usually favored. And this one's actually very close. Closer than it's ever been, actually, for its Stardust Speedway present. So that's actually interesting, but the Japanese soundtrack's floor is probably this low. US version, no, the US version's always stayed at 7.5 out of 10. Same thing for how Wacky Workbench Good Future Japanese soundtrack just stayed at 7 out of 10. Wacky Workbench G-Mix US stayed at 10 out of 10. But here we go with the unpopular opinion of the entire video, because people are going to probably skip to Stardust Speedway Bad Future, because for whatever reason, people think Stardust Speedway Bad Future is a very great track. Particularly for the Japanese soundtrack, which I'm not seeing how it's a good track like this. It's overall more good than bad, but it's not amazing. It really isn't. It got memed into oblivion. It's overrated. It's sort of like the Megalovania Sonic CD. Honestly, Megalovania, it's an annoying track. Like, at least for Megalovania, I'll say it's good because it fits where it is. But this one, like, this one isn't a really good Bad Future track anyways. Like, it's not that threatening, honestly. Palmtree Panic Bad Future Japanese soundtrack's more threatening, but sometimes it sounds like the composers tried a bit too hard and it kind of sounds a bit goofy and silly. In which, when I first heard this opinion, I was like, what? How so? I thought it was really dark. But then I actually thought about it more. I'm like, wow, that actually does make sense. But yeah, Stardust Speedway Bad Future Japanese soundtrack. Overrated, overly memed, doesn't really fit a Bad Future well. It does have a good melody. I will say it does have an overall good melody, but it's not an S tier track. It's not anything close to it. It's one of my least favorites in the entire game. It's been like that for some time. The US version of Stardust Speedway Bad Future. Again, I don't think both of these tracks fit Metal Sonic. I don't think they do. I'll say this one is probably barely A tier because of that guitar in it. Again, I meant to give this one a bit of a test run, so I'll be back. But I don't think this one's going to be that much different. Okay, yeah, it's still pretty good. I'm not sure if it's A tier like that. I'll have to see. I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. I think it's better than the Japanese version, definitely. I'll put it... Yeah, I'll just reluctantly put it A tier. I'm sorry, dude. Like, get some headphones on and listen to the guitar in this track. It's phenomenal work that Spencer Nilsson did on this track, honestly. And it has a good snare. But both versions of Stardust Speedway Bad Future aren't really good fits for Stardust Speedway or Metal Sonic. If you want to look for a Metal Sonic thing that actually fits his character, look at what Sonic Forces did with the US version. It's very intense. It's very electronic. It's dubstep. It's literally like dubstep. It fits Metal Sonic so well. Too bad it's used for a fake Metal Sonic, but for a real Metal Sonic too. Use Sonic 4 Episode 2's version of for Metal Sonic. It's actually an original theme, and it's not the US or not the US or Japanese versions. Which I don't know. There is a remix of Japanese soundtrack in Sonic 4. I'm not sure if it's better or worse than the original, honestly. All the remixes for the Japanese versions of Stardust Speedway Bad Future are just as disappointing, I'll say, if not weaker than this track. Sonic Generations, like, the US version is better for me personally in Sonic Generations, but both versions of Stardust Speedway Bad Future and Sonic Generations are just downgrades from the original. The Japanese version doesn't even fit a Bad Future at all. And I know how some Bad Futures can sound like boss themes according to some people. I know how they can. But yeah, it sounds more boss themed, but like doesn't take Metal Sonic 2 seriously till at some time. Like remember, Metal Sonic and like Sonic Heroes though, like he was like really dark as a villain. And I thought this game would probably remember a bit of that. At least, like, remember like how much of a threat Metal Sonic later became in some games. Now he's a bit more of a joke nowadays, but the US version in Sonic Generations is not that much better. I prefer it. But it's a downgrade from the original. And then for Sonic Force and Sonic Mania, I like the snares in the Japanese version of Stardust Speedway Bad Future. I like that a lot. It's catchy, I'll give it that too. But it's I don't know. It's just too meme. It's too much of a meme. It just can't get over that. It's just a meme now. Whatever it had as the message is just lost now. It's just a joke. It's just like, come on, man. And yeah, but for Sonic Forces, though, the Stardust Speedway Bad Future, that is the best remix of Stardust Speedway for both soundtracks, in my opinion. I like dubstep, guys. I do like dubstep. It's I like the Geometry Dash soundtrack a lot. A lot of dubstep in that one. Theory of Everything too, right? But yeah, I don't know. It's just both versions of Star Wars Bad Future are not that memorable to me. They aren't what I say is like something that's really good about Sonic CD. It really isn't. But yeah. But if anything, I will say this for the Japanese version of Star Wars Bad Future. What is it? The White World remix in Sonic Generations. That's basically the Hub World version of the Japanese version of Star Wars Bad Future. I think that version of the track is actually pretty dang good. I think this one's actually better than the original. It's actually a really good remix of the track. I don't know why. It just is. Maybe because that one isn't as memed as the others. It doesn't contain that annoying sound effect that people like to meme about. But I don't know. I actually really appreciate that version of this track a lot. Sonic 4. I'm not sure about Sonic 4. Sonic 4's remix of it. I had to listen to it again, but I don't know. I don't know why Star Speedway Bad Future Japanese soundtracks in Sonic 4. I thought that in the cutscene of Star Speedway, that there wasn't that song in it. Maybe it plays in a different part. I haven't actually played Sonic 4 Episode 1 or Episode 2. I've heard the soundtrack of both games, and the soundtrack is actually surprisingly really good, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm not sure about the Sonic 4 version, but for whatever reason, Star Speedway Bad Future is very popular, and it's probably because the player base gets the Bad Future and Star Speedway, and they typically play in the Japanese soundtrack, so that's probably why, but even still, when I first heard this track was like very popular in Sonic CD, I'm like, why is this track so popular? Like, out of all the Bad Features in this game, this one's the most popular? Honestly, I don't get it. Honestly, I don't really get it. But it is what it is. But let's move on from the unpopular opinion alley and go to another unpopular opinion alley. I think Star Wars Good Future and Japanese soundtrack absolutely obliterates the Bad Future and adds one of my most favorite songs of all time. Get mad at me for it all you want, but this is an amazing track. My gosh, this does everything the Bad Future couldn't. It fits the time zone very well. It has very good instrumentation use, very good use of the vocals and melody. I mean, just my gosh, this one is so underrated. Like the Bad Future really is the more popular one, but you hear the Good Future mix? I'm not sure about that, guys. It's just my opinion, though. But like, come on, I just don't get it. But more so on this track, this is a phenomenal track, honestly. And I actually have heard some remixes of this track, and the remixes of this track are pretty good. There's this one lo-fi remix by Mundi Axis, I think that's her name. And it's a really good remix, my gosh. And there's another remix of the track, 29th anniversary Sonic, made by Anthony 300. I'm not sure if that's his name, but dang, I recommend listening to those remixes, by the way. They're very good remixes, honestly. Star Wars Good Future in the Japanese soundtrack. This is how you do the Star Wars Japanese theme. Same thing for the past theme. But my gosh, yeah, Star Wars in the Japanese soundtrack. You have one very not so great track, one that's just meh, okay, I guess. But two S tier tracks, my gosh. And then for Star Wars US, you have one track that's just, least favorites, like literally. The Bad Feature is. It's good, okay? The Bad Future sounds good. It's not really that much of a favorite, but that guitar just makes me put it into the A tier. Sorry. And the Good Feature, I don't know where to put the Good Feature, really. I say this one's probably barely B tier. It's not as amazing as other people. I don't think it's as amazing as other people say it is. I honestly think this track, out of all the Good Features in the American soundtrack, this one is the least Good Feature sounding. Now, don't take me the wrong way. I don't think this legit sounds overall like a Bad Feature. I think this overall is very futuristic, and I can see the good in it. But some parts of this can honestly fit a Bad Feature. They can, in my opinion. But I don't think this is overall a Bad Feature track. I think that's pretty stupid, considering the US Bad Feature sounds like more of a Bad Feature than this track, first and foremost. And some parts of this track can fit a Good Feature. They can. But, I don't know. This one it's not the most appropriate for a Good Feature. But it does a good job at fitting the fast-paced nature of Star Speedway. I'll give it that, and it's very epic, but I'm not sure. Like, after a loop or two, it just gets very old and boring. So, B tier it is. Now, let's move on to Metallic Madness. Here we go, Metallic Madness. Where's the past theme? Oh, this is the past. Okay. Metallic Madness Past and the Japanese soundtrack. Very good track, actually. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, though. I'll put it probably around here. But, it's actually pretty good. Not so bad. I haven't rated this 1 out of 10, so I don't know where it would go. Maybe it can go barely A tier behind Stardust Speedway Bad Future. But I'm sorry, dude, but like that guitar in this track, it's a really good guitar work. Even if I'm not the most enthusiastic about this track, and I could realistically move it into like the B tier column, I could realistically, honestly. But I'm sorry, dude, it's just the guitar, man. But aside from that, this is a very good fit for Metallic Madness. Very industrial, very much. It's a bit intimidating, actually. It's a bit intimidating. Very fitting for the final level. Yeah, maybe this one could go up a bit higher, honestly. I'm about to give this one a test, because this one's actually pretty good. Yeah, this song's actually pretty good. Dang. This one may actually be unironically in the A tier. I don't know if I'm using the word correctly. I honestly don't know what the definition of this that word is. But this one actually is probably going to be A tier. It sounds really good. I have to see, though. I have to see it, maybe. I'll put this... I don't know. I have a feeling this one goes A tier, though. Just really good. Now, let's get ready for Metallic Madness Present. The Japanese version, S tier. I love this track a lot. Again, I like industrial music, and Metallic Madness is filled with industrial music, except for one particular track, and that's going to be a very big unpopular opinion. Once we get there, it's going to be pretty harsh when we get there, but yeah, this is a very good track. I love the industrial sounds in the background. I like the bass line. I don't really care too much for the lyrics or that one part in the song. I don't really care about that one part of the song that happens a minute in, though. That's not why I like this track. I like this track because the industrial sounds in the background, the bass line, some of that piano. But it's just, I just like this sort of music. Factory music is very good, in which Sonic Mania definitely missed it on this one. I don't care what anyone says. Same thing for the past theme. Just what happened with Metallic Madness and Sonic Mania? Just, like, what was that? I don't know. That's just my opinion, although it is my opinion. But again, just remixes don't get the original as much. They just don't. But let's talk about the US version of Metallic Madness Present. My cursor's being a bit weird. What the heck? Metallic Madness Present US is actually pretty good. I'm actually gonna put it over here, maybe. I'll see if it's better than Wacky Workbench Past, but I think this one is a bit better, maybe, than Stardust Speedway Good Future, honestly. I actually do respect this track a lot. I don't know why, but like Mark Crew, the person who made the Collision Chaos and Metallic Madness US themes, alongside the Boss US themes, really good with the present themes. Typically, I don't like the US present themes. I mean, look at the scores. 2 C tier from Spencer Nilsson. The worst track in the overall game being a US present theme by Spencer Nilsson. The only one I actually respect is Palmtree Panic. That one's almost A tier. But Mark Crew, he did it really good in present themes, honestly. This one could probably get a bit more scored, but I'll just put this one here. I'm not entirely too sure, but I do think this one is pretty good. But yeah, I obviously prefer the Japanese version of Metallic Madness Present. But Metallic Madness is basically like the bellwether of like all bellwethers, because whoever wins in Metallic Madness typically wins the entire time zone and the entire series with Metallic Madness Bad Future. Because Season 1, Metallic Madness Bad Future, was very close. Actually, not very close, it was close, but Japanese soundtrack won it, and also won Season 1. It also won the Bad Futures overall in Season 1. And in Season 2, the US soundtrack won the Bad Futures overall with its win in Metallic Madness Bad Future. That's my bad. My speaking is not clear in this video, it really isn't. I'm stuttering again. But yeah, the US soundtrack won Metallic Madness Bad Future in Season 2, and it won the overall Bad Futures because of that. And if we're looking at the history of the bellwether Metallic Madness Bad Future, typically whoever wins that wins the entire season. Again, the US soundtrack was planned to win Season 2, but things got way too close in Quartz Quadrant after planning Season 2, so my bad on that one. Probably not going to make a video saying that the US soundtrack wins it or loses it or whatever. But yeah, the US soundtrack, though, or the Japanese soundtrack, whoever wins the present Bad Future or Good Future, in Metallic Madness simply wins that overall time zone. This is the case with Season 1 and Season 2, and Metallic Madness Bad Feature is the big bellwether. And I actually like both versions of Metallic Madness Bad Feature. Both versions of Metallic Madness Bad Feature. They're both two very good songs. I don't know where I'd put them on this tier list. I have to listen to the tracks again, so I'll be back. Yeah, I listened to both versions of these tracks. Yeah, right now they're over the A tier requirement, honestly. It's so close in Metallic Madness Bad Feature. Oh my. I think I like them more than the, I think I like this one more than Stardust Speedway Bad Feature US, I think. 9.1 out of 10, Japanese version, I don't know, 9.2. Maybe it's reversed, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just don't know, so, like, a lot of these tracks are so bunched up here. I don't know, dude. Both versions of Metallic Madness Bad Feature are, like, just very good. I just don't know. I say the Japanese version may be slightly favored, but, like, the US version could probably be slightly favored, too. I just don't know. I don't know. I'll just put them right next to each other, just to symbolize just how close things usually are. I'll put Japanese right before US right here. But, I don't know, dude. So close. Let's get to the unpopular opinion. Metallic Madness Good Feature, Japanese soundtrack. It's a very weak track, in my opinion, honestly. It doesn't even describe the level well. Metallic Madness Good Feature has, like, it's not entirely saved in the Good Feature. Eggman has some control in Metallic Madness Good Feature. That's why there are still some enemies around. That's why there are lots of saw blade traps, spike traps. There's even a huge bottomless pit in Zone 3. So, how can you think that this very happy track can fit the level, which clearly doesn't look all that happy? Like, openly happy. I guess the only thing this track can fit is maybe the city in the background, but that's basically it. But aside from that, it doesn't fit too well. Does it have a good melody and whatnot? Yeah, it does. It's a pretty good melody, I guess. I mean, it definitely can't be a bad melody. It certainly cannot be a bad melody, but this track is very overrated. Very weak and fitting. The US version, though, borderline one of my most favorite songs of all time. It's really getting closer to that. I'll put it right over here. I don't know, this one's growing on me a bit more. It's happy, but like the happiness is very silent. And to be honest, some parts of this track could fit the dangerous environment of the Metallic Madness Good Feature. It's the only one with enemies and traps in it. So it fits that aspect of the level. It fits the, it's very mechanical too. The Japanese version of Metallic Madness Good Feature isn't mechanical. There's no industrial parts, which makes it the oddball and my definite least favorite track in Metallic Madness. But the US Good Feature, that is my favorite Metallic Madness track. That's not the Japanese press theme, because that one's actually my favorite Metallic Madness track overall. It's the only time where a Good Feature is not my favorite track in the level theme. But yeah, Metallic Madness Good Feature, it's very mechanical, it has very good bassline. It's very peaceful and tranquil, but like, it's not so in your face about it. I don't see how it should be all loud and happy when the entire level is like, it has enemies on it. Even some enemies you have to fight, like in not Act 3, but Zone 3, there's no acts in Sonic C, it's just rounds and zones. But in Metallic Madness round, Zone 3, you have to fight 3 enemies in the Good Feature. In the in Zone 1 and Zone 2, there are enemies that still appear. Granted, those enemies are probably scripted, but I'm pretty sure there's a way you can remove those enemies still, but they're still there. And there are lots of spike traps. It's just, like, what about this track is supposed to scream like the best Good Feature, most peaceful when the level doesn't feel like that. And the background art, it doesn't fit that well in comparison to the US version. The US version fits those trees in the background. It can even fit that city in the background, but it definitely is very peaceful, very happy, but it's also kind of a bit aware of the, it's a bit aware of the dangers in the level, honestly. But like, the way how it just kind of represses that very loud, happy, thing that the Japanese soundtrack has. Like, US version is very quiet, very peaceful, very happy. It's like silent happiness in the track. Like, it's just hopeful that Sonic's gonna beat Eggman. And it's a very good track for that. Like I say, Mark Crew hit it very well with this track. He very much missed in Collision Chaos Good Future, but he hit in this track. This is like the best way to end off the Good Futures, in my opinion. Just very phenomenal work right over here. In which this was a close round in Season 2, by the way. This was very close. It's like the tightest margin of victory, but... yeah, but... Again, with the bellwether things, the US soundtrack won this track Season 2, and it won the good features because of that. Which in Season 1, this was actually a tie in Season 1, and the good feature was a tie, and the bad features was overall Japanese. Present theme was Japanese. Season 2, though, present theme Japanese, bad feature US, good feature US, so like 2 flips. But yeah, this was very close back then, but now it's not so close. Again, I can give the Japanese version of this track a listen to. I could. And I'll probably do so right now. But, I'm not sure it's going to change much. I'll give it a listen, though. Alright, listen to the track again. It's actually still pretty good. This one is typically a bit closer, though, with Tidal Tempest's good feature, so I don't really know where this track would really go, but still loses the US version, though still obviously does. I do like some parts of the track, though. I like the part where the percussion gets in, but I just don't think it's really all that, even without the whole messaging thing. I think just as a song, I don't know, it's just very weird, because when I first heard this track, I liked it, yeah. But, like, not much opportunity, I don't want to say opportunities, but not much times after that where I actually thought the song was really good. I typically ignore this track. It's just not memorable to me, not really. In a positive light, not really. Aside from the unused loop, and that unused loop in this track does it great service. I like the unused loop a lot. I think it's actually better than the actual track. Same thing could be said for Palmtree Panic back from the Japanese soundtrack. The unused loop is better than the entire track, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm gonna say this one is inferior, though, to, what is it? I forgot. Tidal Tempest good feature Japanese. I think this one is inferior. This one has typically been very low on that sort of scale. It's ever been, like, in the middle. That's, like, its best over the 7 Japanese tracks, because early on, this was my second least favorite good feature in the Japanese soundtrack when I first heard all the Japanese good features. I didn't like this one that much. And I obviously still don't like it that much. I still like this song, but just, it's okay. You know, it's okay. If there was no US soundtrack, this would be a decent replacement, but I think it's just terrible and fitting, okay? And this track is kind of overrated. I understand why, kind of, but I don't know. People also say this track sounds like a tearjerker. I actually disagree. It's not that tearjerking, guys. It really is not. In my opinion, at least. I never thought this track was ever that tear-jerking. It doesn't make me want to cry. The US version, however, I would say actually does a very good job at that. Well, actually not really. I won't say that. I don't think either version of this track actually makes me want to cry, actually. The US version, though, makes me feel more peaceful, maybe. It's actually a very good stress reliever, too, if you ever have issues with stress. I don't know why I'm saying that in this video, but yeah. It's a very unpopular take for me, but I just don't think this track is all that well. Go ahead, sue me for it. Someone's probably actually going to sue me for that, so I'm going to stop with that. Well, let's get to what comes after this. I believe it's a special stage. Special stage Japanese soundtrack. Not too fantastic, honestly. Like, musically, like, structurally, it's actually a pretty broken track. I don't know what happened here. But it's really not that good. Honestly. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this one. It's just structurally just sounds a bit broken. Honestly. It's decent, maybe, I don't know. This one can be a bit unpredictable to us sometimes, but it's definitely in the least favorites category. Just not a good track. Special Stage US, though, however, that's actually a pretty good track. I'll favor it to go at least in the A tier column, but it's actually pretty good. Maybe I could put it maybe B tier, maybe. I'm not sure about that, though. But this is pretty good for the special stage. It's actually one of my favorite special stages in the Sonic franchise. I don't know if this beats Sonic 2's special stage theme. That's a very good one. Sonic 1's special stage theme is also very, very good. Sonic Lost World special stage theme, very fantastic. My gosh. Sonic 3 special stage, Sonic 3 special theme exists, but like, I don't know. I don't think that's a song I'll really listen to often if I were to listen to any of the special stages, but yeah. Both of these tracks are pretty good, though. Well, actually, no. The US version of this track is good. Japanese version is just broken. US version, though, is more... It's more right, but I don't know what happened in the Japanese version, but, like, something about the melody just sounds so broken. Just... It's just, Yeah, I know. And there are some complaints about Metallic Mask. Good because Japanese sounds being a bit broken with the way how it spams the orchestral hit, which, yeah, that is something I could say is bad about the track, but I actually like that part of the track. So it's basically like a net neutral, but just don't know what happened there. Well, let's get to the normal boss theme. Boss and Japanese soundtrack. I think it's decent, but it's kind of sounds a bit not too sure what to think about this. It definitely doesn't fit the bosses for Eggman. Like, Eggman wants to, like, take over Little Planet and, like, change its history to change the entire, like, just change everything about the planet. Like, this does not fit him at all. Is it a good song? Yeah, it is. I do think it is. Again, the only song here I can't say is overall good is Tidal Tempest Press in the US, so it's a good track. But in comparison to the other Sonic CD tracks, yeah, it's weaker. It's definitely weaker. In which Boss US, again, musically, I don't think Boss US is really that sort of track. I don't think it is. But it gets the messaging, which is what really matters with a lot of these tracks, honestly. Unless it's like a tie and how well it fits, in which I would then have to divert to, what is it? Fitting? But yeah. This is a very good boss theme for Eggman. It very well fits Eggman. Now, musically, is it very good? I don't really know, dude. I don't know. I haven't heard the song in a bit. But it just fits Eggman very well. I will say, though, I do like some of the faster-paced notes, though. But it sounds very satanic, and you guys know me as a Christian. I would say, but, you know, this one actually has that sort of vibe for a reason, so it actually passes that test, but, Now, this one doesn't include the final boss version because, I don't know, person may just didn't tell the difference, but there is a difference in the final boss variation, which is why it scores A tier, but if you separate the boss themes, normal boss US would be B tier, final boss US would be A tier. It's just, like, typically tracks like this don't really work well for the final boss, they do normal boss, but this one still gets it even for a final boss theme. And there are some differences in the final boss theme which I do prefer over the normal version, but yeah. I'd average both of them, and I say it's just barely A tier, though. Now, Final Fear from Japanese soundtrack. This one gets it more than the boss Japanese theme. I would say it's, I don't even know. I don't know. I'll say it's mid B tier. Yeah, middle B tier, I'll say. Not too sure where this track goes, but I'll put it in the middle B tier. And, the outro, the ending theme. I don't know what happened here in the ending theme. The intro for Cosmic Eternity is really good, but everything afterwards just very, very disappointing in comparison, honestly. If it was just the intro, I would say that this track would go, like maybe this high, maybe A tier, but just... What happened here, dude? Honestly. Because it's just... Now, this one. I love Sonic Boom's ending theme in the American soundtrack. It's one of my most favorite songs of all time. Yeah, I'll say it goes... I don't even know. It at least has to go, like, maybe around here. Maybe. Yeah, probably around here. Just... That guitar at the end is so amazing. It's just a very good remix of the intro theme. And with that, that is the entire playlist that's available online, but again, there are more tracks to discuss. So I'm going to get into those tracks. So one track that was missing here was the title screen theme for all three OSTs. I don't know if the beta theme is really an OST, like its own soundtrack like that, but I would say that the beta theme would be A tier. Very high in the A tier column. The US title screen theme, again, as a song, it would probably be B tier just because of Sonic Boom, but because it's just Sonic Boom with little to no changes right before you hear Sonic Boom again, if you're playing on US, kind of takes away a little bit of what makes Sonic Boom special to me. So, it would probably be C tier because then it really sucks, because, ah, man. Japanese version, I don't think it's... the Japanese version of this track doesn't sound that great, honestly, in comparison to other tracks, but I'd say it barely beats it because of, you know, that penalty. Heck, you maybe just give it, like, an extra... Actually, no, don't even get extra, just have it be like that. But obviously, the beta, to me at least, is better than both of them. Oh yeah, DA Garden. DA Garden, Japanese. I would say it goes into the A tier column, maybe. If not, into the B tier. It's really good. A very good intro, but some parts of the song are just kind of a bit repetitive. So, not too interested in the other parts, but very good intro, I'll say that. US version, though, it's just Sonic Boom, ending theme without lyrics, and it's very good for making covers again, because I'm not sure if you can edit out lyrics in songs easily, but yeah, it's very good for that, but does it describe the DA Garden well? I mean, kind of, but I don't know, just don't care about this one that much, so maybe C tier, maybe barely B tier. As for Time Attack, the Japanese version is like basically near S tier type quality. Very good track. I'm not sure if it cracks S tier, but it gets close to that. As for the American version, I actually think this one fits a bit better because it has an epilogue feel, and you get to the Time Attack after you beat the game, so it fits that sort of feel. Like you're revisiting the stages, so that sort of epilogue feel, it kind of fits it. So I actually think it's like in the middle of the B tier. Now, as for Invincibility, that one's also on here. I think the American version, or not the American version, Japanese version of the Invincibility theme, I think it's barely B tier. I actually like this track. I actually do like it. If not barely C tier, again, very close with that thin line, honestly. But it's a pretty good track. I actually really like it. It's actually one of the first tracks I ever heard from the Japanese soundtrack, too. So, it is kind of a bit nostalgic, and I don't want to be nostalgia biased. I don't really like doing that, but yeah, it does have that. It does, but I'm not going to put that into the B tier because of that, though. It just sounds... It does sounds like a good Invincibility game. It does make you feel kind of powerful. But the US version is easily more powerful. I don't think I really have to say much about it. Like, it's a more powerful track. It very well fits the Invincibility. That powerful guitar, in which the speed up theme, very powerful too, but let's get to the Japanese version first before we talk about that. The speed up Japanese theme is actually pretty good. I don't think it beats the US version, but it's very close with it. I actually think this one's better than the Invincibility Japanese theme, so yeah, it's an upgrade from that one. And I like that one. It's a very good Speed Shoes theme. And the US version is also very good. Again, it's close with it, but I think because of that guitar, it's a bit more powerful, and since it's more powerful, I think it's a better speed-up track. Like, seriously, it makes you feel like you're going really fast. Like, it very much fits. Like, my gosh. And then for the Zone Clear theme, I'd say that the, what is it? I'd say that the Japanese version of the Zone Clear theme, it's decent, like, it's okay, but, like, I don't know, it just sounds really weird. Maybe C tier, maybe B tier. Not sure, but it's probably C tier. It's not that amazing. Whereas the US version, though, I actually really like the US version a lot. It sounds like he actually did something, especially if you got the good feature. Very fitting for that, indeed. But, yeah. It's a very interesting result, I'll say. Yeah, especially considering, like, this track was actually one of the first US tracks I ever heard. I heard it in a Flash game, just like how, for some of the Japanese soundtracks, I heard it in a Flash game. Palmtree Panic Bad Feature Japanese soundtrack, I heard this soundtrack first in a, in a Sonic online game, Flash game, whatever you want to call it. RIP Flash, though. I really liked Flash. And other songs I heard in that game were Tidal Tempest Present Japanese, which I used to like a whole lot, but I no longer do that. And Metallic Bandit's Present Japanese soundtrack, which, interesting history with it, I used to not like this track much. I thought it was the worst present theme in the Japanese soundtrack, but now it's like my second most favorite. So, interesting change there over the time. Knowing this track in Sonic CD. But yeah. Zone Clear US, I first heard that in a Flash game. It was not that same Flash game I heard the other tracks I just mentioned. But yeah, I think it was like some sort of like Sonic like catapult thing, like Angry Birds sort of thing, and whenever you cleared the level, it played that song, so it kind of does remind me of that, but again, I think it's just much better because it sounds like he actually did something. The Japanese version just sounds very weird, in my opinion. No offense to those that like it, obviously, but it sounds very weird. And then Game Over theme, that one was also missing. Game Over in the Japanese soundtrack, I think it's probably A tier. Again, it's a very good song for Game Over. It kind of gives you that sort of arcade feel, which I know Sonic CD is not an arcade game like Sonic 1, and maybe Sonic 2. Was Sonic 2 in arcades? I know Sonic 3 definitely couldn't be in arcades. That can't be a case, but I know Sonic 1 is in arcades, I believe. So yeah, which Sonic CD is made after Sonic 1. It has the same Sonic 1 sprites, and it was made by a Japanese team who made Sonic 1, I think. But yeah, and Game Over US, I don't think Game Over US isn't as bad as I used to think it was. It's just a very weird execution of the horror in it, though. But it fits. It kind of fits. A bit loosely, yeah, but it kind of fits the scenario of like what happened to Sonic actually died, so I guess that's that, but I don't know where this one would go, though. I previously had this one barely in D tier, like, I don't know. It is creepy, yeah, but it doesn't mean it's bad, though. But I'll say, I don't know. I'll put it in like the C tier. Maybe it's no longer one of my least favorites in the game. Probably still is, but not too sure what to say about the track. I don't know. But the other tracks that are missing here are the US Past Themes. For Palmtree Panic, I think Palmtree Panic's barely B tier. It's a very good mix, but out of the US Palmtree Panic tracks, this one is noticeably the weakest one, just barely being B tier. Collision Chaos Past US by KMS, though, I think it's very high in the B tier, if not middle B tier. Not as much as I like the Prez theme, though. I don't like it that much, but it's pretty good. And I think it does beat its Japanese counterpart slightly. So that's the only time where the US soundtrack will ever win in Collision Chaos across this channel. Similarly to how the Japanese soundtrack would probably win the Palmtree Panic present. Aside from that, it would lose Palmtree Panic. And Tidal Tempest Past US, maybe like C tier, maybe B tier. I'm not too sure about that one. I'll tell you more about it post commentary or post editing, whatever you want to call it. Quartz Quadrant Past US, though, instant A tier. Very great song. I mean, it's so epic. It fits the past. It just sounds very good, too. Just, my gosh, what a great track. Very much an upgrade from the Japanese version. Wacky Workbench Past US, just as good as its Japanese counterpart, honestly. They're both good. I'd probably say right now, at the time of this video, that the Japanese version may be the winner. I'm not sure. I'd probably say US version, though, because that is the result from the Past Theme series. But since this one will be posted after the Past Theme Comparison series, which I say the US Past Themes are overall better, but only because the US soundtrack wins Metallic Madness, the Japanese soundtrack takes over Wacky Workbench, probably. But I'm not too sure. Those two rounds were very close, though, so. And I didn't want, like, a tied result, like in Season 2, so that's why I had it that way. And Stardust Speedway Past US, it's very close with Quartz Quadrant Past in the Japanese soundtrack, honestly. It's not really a great track, honestly. So, it's just, like, it's basically E tier, honestly, if not barely D tier. And then Metallic Man is Past US. I think I like that one just as much, Japanese version, if not slightly less, but a pretty good track nonetheless. I really like how atmospheric it is. I like the machinery sounds in the background. Again, I love machinery sounds in music. I really do. I don't know why. I just like it a whole lot. Just like how the last part of Wacky Workbench Mix US very much is like very great. Honestly, that's the part of the track that actually really reeled me in. But my gosh, just wow. But aside from those tracks, and also forgot the 510 prototype theme for Speed Up, which it's a slight bit worse than the Japanese version, the final Japanese version. I think this time the 510 prototype was actually a downgrade, but slightly. So it's just like barely B tier, and then for the 510 prototype of Palmtree Panic Pass, aka South Plains. South Plains Pass. I think it's barely into the C tier category, like just a bit off from B tier. But it is an upgrade from the Japanese version, I will say. But aside from those themes, and I'm not going to do Desert Dazzle because I have made Desert Dazzle US and Relic Ruins US. I will make the future themes, remake them, I guess you can say. And I'll make the past theme, but I can't do those since I made those tracks and I would probably have a bias towards my tracks. But aside from that, this is the Sonic CD tier list, which I'm probably going to show you what it looks like at the end of the video, but this is it right now. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, which this video is probably going to be over an hour long. I'm not sure what I can do about editing this, because right now it's like almost an hour and a half long. I'm kind of want to take a shower right now, kind of trying to wind up for bed, but, yeah, this is the Sonic CD, Sonic's tier list. I know there are going to be a lot of comments. Oh my bad, voice crack. I know there's going to be a lot of comments, though, about, oh, this was so bad, and whatnot. There's going to be people saying that this is good, but you know me, I don't really like something better just because it's the popular option all the time. Sometimes when things become popular, like Stardust Speedway Bad Future Japanese soundtrack, it just ruins it even more. And which this is probably going to be a very quotable thing for me, but a fan base represents the things that they like to some extent, honestly. It really does, because, like, if something has a terrible fan base, people aren't going to like it so much. That is something I've noticed from the internet. People aren't going to like it as much. And I can understand why people can have problems with that, but it's just how it is. I can't really change that. But yeah. But aside from that, I think the soundtrack Sonic CD, both of them are very good. I actually averaged my scores for them from Season 2, and it was actually very close. Rounded to the nearest 10th, and it's literally the exact same score. Yeah, Season 2 was very close. Same thing with Season 1, too. Season 1, round them to the nearest 10th. Very close, indeed. So, yeah. I like both soundtracks. I tilt towards either one sometimes, like last year. Probably a year from, like, now. Last year, I say I was tilted towards Japanese soundtrack, but now I'm slightly tilted towards American soundtrack. But I always tilt between both soundtracks, but I think both of them are just about equally good. Don't really have a strong leaning on both of them. I do tend to revere the US one more because no one really gives it that much attention as I want it to have as much attention, so that's why I do it so much, but yeah. Both soundtrack songs are very good. The argument between them is pretty stupid overall, honestly. And this will be the end of the video. I hope you guys watched this. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this 1 hour, 30-minute video. I'll see how low this can get edited down to. But yeah, watching this at daytime or nighttime, God bless you, honestly. Good night. I'll see you guys maybe another video. I'll have to see about that. But yeah, God bless you, and goodbye, and good night. I'll see you guys later.